Most people are way too heavy, and it's not because of muscle. Let me tell you why. So most people, as you can see, I'm kind of hinting at that most people are obese, overweight, and I'm not just saying that because I think it, I know it. I think the statistic is that 2/3 of Americans are overweight, and about 1/3 of them are obese. So that means that for every 3 people you see, 2 of them are considered overweight, and possibly one of them is obese, and maybe one of them is fit. Now you're probably thinking, there's no way that's not real. Well, that's because you don't know what overweight is, which, if you want to classify overweight, I believe it is 23 or 20, I think it's like 24% body fat for a man, and then obese is a little over 30, maybe even a little lower than 30. Yep, and then I think like 35 for a man over that is morbidly obese. And probably still don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'll show up some pictures of overweight, obese, and morbidly obese, and you'll kind of get the gist of it. Be like, okay, that makes sense. Everyone is overweight. Now you're probably thinking, overweight's not bad. Right, it's not bad in this society, but definitely isn't good. And if you want to be the best person, if you want to show up for your family, for your friends, for your loved ones, then you don't want to be overweight. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't have the best health consequences. It doesn't have the best consequences, all right? You are going to develop health problems. It's going to be harder to hang around your kids, your loved ones, whoever it is, hang out with your friends. Enjoy life, honestly. Now, probably wondering too, like, is overweight normal then? Like, has everyone always been overweight? And no, not at all. And it's not even normal for the average person to be overweight. Surprisingly, there are tribes out in rural areas where like people haven't like messed with these tribes. I forget what they call it, like indigenous tribes. I hope I'm getting that right. But I'll have to find the exact tribe. But this tribe hasn't been really in contact with people. I don't know if we just observe them or whatnot. But basically, they don't have what we have. They basically live in jungles, as far as I know, and they hunt animals. They do have access to alcohol and tobacco, so they've discovered that. They create that themselves, however that happens. But they do have that. Their average body fat percentage is, do you want to guess? The average man is roughly 13% body fat. Do you know how lean that is? That is like, I wonder if I can show you in the light right now. This is me flexing my abs. That's me resting. So a little fluffy there. I would say I am a little over 15% body fat, maybe. If I had to guess, I would say roughly around 15. Definitely not 13. If I was 13, you'd be able to see my abs way better, maybe better lighting. But let's just say the average person is nowhere near 13% body fat. I would say that maybe there's a statistic. I can look this up. If I had to guess, I would say like 1% of America is under 13% body fat. So 90, maybe that's not right. Maybe it's between 1 and 5. I will put that up here as well, whatever it is. But yeah, let's be generous. Let's say 5% is under 13% body fat, which I don't even think is close. But that means that out of 100 people, 95 people are basically fatter than what we should be. Because if you think about it, if we were like cave animals, or if we were like cavemen, we would be roughly 13% body fat. If we were men. And for women, I don't know what the woman's is. I know it's like roughly around like, I think it's like 22 or 23. Maybe it's like, I don't know, it's like 25 or something for women. No, it's probably like 20 for women in those tribes. Let me get this real quick. By the way, if it's the first time watching one of these videos, probably is your first time. It's only the 3rd video I've made. But I basically just bullshit around. In meal prep while I make these videos. And today I made some Taco Bell turkey burritos, which are amazing. Anyways, so now that we understand that the average person is truly overweight or obese, and let's say that out of 100 people in America, 5 people are at the body fat percentage that they should be, like that they would be if we were out in the woods and we didn't have fast food and we had to run for our food and get our food, chase our food. We would be like 13% body fat. Only 5 people out of 100 are where they should be on the body fat scale. That's wild. And it's pretty easy to understand though, because in a world where we're just surrounded by dopamine and getting that from food is one of the ways, and getting that from sitting on the couch watching TV is another way. And we honestly don't work as much as we do in those tribes. Those tribes constantly looking for food and help building their shelter because kind of can't, they ain't got no playtime like we do. And we take advantage of that. And to the point where we are literally killing ourselves with dopamine by getting it from food and sitting around doing nothing. It's not good. So when you think about it that way, it's pretty easy to understand why we're so far away from where we used to be, why we're so overweight. Not only because it's like, people are like, oh, it's fast food, it's processed food. No. Like, yes, it is. That doesn't help. That's why people are obese. But the reason why people are overweight is because we have access to food so easily. And the other reason why people are overweight, again, not obese. Obese is the level where it's taken to eating fast food every day and constantly snacking. But overweight people, the reason why they're overweight and not at 13% body fat, it's just because of the lifestyle. Like we live in a world where like we are constantly like, you want to go hang out with a friend, what do? You go and grab food. You want to do something when you get home? What do? You sit down and watch TV, snack on some food. Sure, it might be some almonds, it might be healthy, but it's still food, and it's pretty calorie dense. When we're bored and we're unhappy, what do? Snack on food. It is a lifestyle issue. It is something that is just normalized, and I'm not here to say it's horrible. Again, I don't expect everyone to be 13% body fat. While that is a healthy range to be at, the average man shouldn't be below 10% body fat. Again, for women, the body fat percentages are different. They're much higher. But yeah, for men, you probably shouldn't be under 10% body fat or else your hormones kind of crash or they start to crash. But you also don't want to be above 20% body fat. So getting close to that overweight zone. So while we don't need to be 13, we should all be around 10 to 20 to be healthy. And that kind of takes it. I mean, to be under 20 doesn't take drastic lifestyle changes. I think it takes some knowledge. I think that if you are someone that was brought up in an environment that kind of, I definitely say your environment caused you to be overweight and fat. Usually, at least from a young age, that's how it starts. And you grew up in that, and you just became overweight. Some people just have the gene of they don't eat as much, or they just weren't surrounded by food like that. It seems like, for whatever reason. But if you were someone that wasn't brought up with the gene, someone that was brought up around food and used food as comfort your entire life, then you are in a dangerous zone, and you're going to have to change your habits. You are going to have to change what you eat. You're going to have to mess around with your environment. You don't have to get rid of your environment like completely. You don't have to move. You don't have to get new friends, but you can't go out as much. You can't eat out as much. You need to start meal prepping like I'm doing now. Another simple way to do this. You need to start going to the gym. Going to the gym is one of the easier steps. Do what you enjoy in the gym. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't do too much though. Don't waste your time in there when you could be meal prepping or learning how to cook. Obviously use it to keep yourself busy if you need to, instead of going out to the bar every night, go to the gym. Instead of sitting down and watching TV and snacking, you could probably go to the gym, learn something new, do some cardio. Those are all great things. But yeah, there are a lot of things you can do to be under that 20% body fat, which is where we want to be, which is only 1/3 of the population, roughly. And I mean, shit, even out of that 1/3, I would say like most people under that 1/3 are people that just have a shitty diet still. They don't have much muscle mass. They have a poor diet. They don't look the greatest, even under that 20% body fat. So I would say that most people just need to make sure they're changing their environment. They need to make sure that they are not changing it, but noticing their environment, noticing how destructive it can be, noticing that going out every night isn't okay. Going out to eat every night isn't okay. It's very hard to stick to your diet going out to eat, to put it that way, and you're tempted by plenty of things around you. Now again, go out with your friends. Maybe don't eat everything there. Maybe just have a little snack. But people need to start meal prepping. They need to start learning how to cook high protein foods, especially in a world where people are losing weight rapidly with GLP-1s and Ozempic, whatever GLP-1 you're on, Retta, whatever. People are losing muscle rapidly. They need to learn how to get enough protein in. They also need to learn how to exercise and put on muscle, because that's an issue as well. Because again, like I said, you can be under this 20% body fat and still be like, it's healthier than being overweight, but it's still, lack of muscle mass isn't the best. It's not good for your bone density. That's another issue. You're going to lose bone density as you get older, and I think a lot of people experience that as they get older. They lose muscle mass, they lose bone density, they have bone issues. On top of that, they start to lose muscle mass, and the bone density issues become a problem, and that's just not good. So if you want to be healthy, if you want to have a nice, long-lasting life, you need to notice your environment and notice things you need to change. Whether that's starting to go to the gym and meal prepping instead of going out to bars and going out to eat. Maybe finding like-minded people that you like to do that with. Changing your environment in your house, getting rid of the snacks. Maybe even giving a limit on the TV, the amount of TV you watch, the amount of phone scrolling you do. Replace that with time in the gym. I promise you'll find time for all of that, and you will not be the average person anymore. You will be above average, which is pretty easy these days to do. You just have to be a little bit disciplined, not that hard. Will build confidence and lead to a lot of other great things. I think just a great life in general. I'm pretty young myself, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but I do believe that if you can build a great physique, you can kind of master anything in life. I think that if you can learn to discipline and diet, it will help you throughout life. But yeah, that is why, well, this kind of dove away from my point, but hopefully you understand why the average person is too fat in my opinion. Like, I mean, obviously from a scientific standpoint of what we used to look like and what we probably used to be, judging by those indigenous tribes, we are definitely way too overweight. We are definitely way fatter than we need to be. And I think that is an issue. And we need to fix it. And I think you can kind of understand why, though. It's because of our environment, everything we're surrounded by. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Just kind of went on a little rant. But yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.